In this video, we are going to discuss what COVID laws I broke, and we're also going to go over the leaked WhatsApp messages from Isabel Oakeshott to the Telegraph, which lifts the lid on what Matt Hancock and the rest of the crony Conservative government really thought of it.
Newspaper call me red-handed, creeping with the toy next door. Said you wanted some of that Matt Hancock.
Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Also, there are a few links in the description, which if you click them and buy the product, we will earn a small commission. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Into the video. In this video, we're going to discuss the leaked WhatsApp messages, first of all, from Matt Hancock, which come from his book, The Pandemic Diaries, that he basically promoted in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. You know, the one that he's going to donate his money, his winnings, or whatever he earned, 300 grand or whatever it was, to a dyslexic charity. He donated £10,000. He kept the rest of it, of course. That is what they are all like. Anyway, some of these leaked WhatsApp messages have basically summed up what every, let's say, anti-vaxxer has thought throughout the entire pandemic. The Conservative government weaponised the pandemic to get us in line, with their agenda. Yeah, and the messages, when I read them, I was angry. Yeah, all those people that did their best to abide by the rules that were made by people on the fly, who the day before they didn't know what they was going to do, and then the day after, boom, they've done it. Yeah, it was rumours a day before, and then they brought in the legislation or the rules or the regulations or the guidelines. Yeah, they were mocking us the entire time, and these WhatsApp messages prove every single word of it. Matt Hancock and Simon Case mocking travellers who were locked up when those big restrictions were on. Yeah, you're going to those red countries. Oh, yeah. Boris described a situation in which a couple would charge £10,000 in COVID fines because they went to a red country. He describes it as superb. That's right, people. He described it as superb. That tells you everything you need to know. Mr. Case, Mr. Simon Case, who had to step away from the inquiry, the Partygate inquiry, because he was involved in the bloody thing himself. Ministers nowadays, cabinet ministers, every single one of them, they lack the one thing that ministers of that level need: integrity. They have no integrity whatsoever. Parliamentarians, members of parliament, should go to higher positions with one sole purpose: to help their country, to better their country, and to progress their country. Nowadays, they only go for one thing and one thing only: to better their own careers, and then when they put the country in a dog bin, they go and do something else, like be a presenter on GB News, or be a presenter, or like Nadine Dorries, be a presenter on Talk TV. It is true, there are a handful of MPs that are truly passionate about their own constituents, but not a lot of them. The ones you hear about are just out for themselves. Nadeem Zahawi, for example. Yes, Boris, I'll take your position as Chancellor. The next day, he told Boris to resign. He just took a new position from him. Oh yes, thank you for letting me be a Chancellor for a day. That's what they're all like. And on the 28th of August 2020, Simon Case asks Matt Hancock, who is actually enforcing these rules, and Matt Hancock replies, yeah, we're going to have to get heavy with the police. We've given the plod their marching orders. How disrespectful can these people be? The amount of contempt shown from this government shows you exactly why it was correct to get rid of them all in the first place. When a general election comes, just get rid of them. In a conversation from the 13th of December 2020, Matt Hancock and his aide discuss deploying the new variant. It was their intention to scare the living daylights out of the public. That was their intention. It's not an anti-lockdown agenda. It's an anti-cunt agenda. They were having us on, making us go through these draconian lockdowns. Even Professor Chris Whitty in one of these messages says, oh, actually, it's not as bad as they make out. Boris compared it to, old people are more at risk at falling down the stairs. They were breaking these guidelines themselves. That's why Partygate exists. That's why the probe exists. Every single one of these people are in contempt of their duties, of their obligations, of their responsibilities, and in my opinion, we should never see their faces again. In fact, some of them should be in flipping prison. Matt Hancock should be in a prison. He stood there groping his own girlfriend while the rest of us were in lockdown. While London was in lockdown, he was having a bit of heavy petting with his mistress. I'm going to go over the guidelines that we had during this time, and I'm going to tell you exactly which ones are broke. Let's have a little bit of a timeline, shall we? National lockdown was announced on March 23rd, 2020. And from this point onwards, there was self-isolation, face coverings, social distancing. I can honestly say I did not give a crap from the start. Other people will do it anyway because they're like chickens. They're like lambs to the slaughter. They'll do anything their master says. No, stand there, question why you're being told to do these things. Question everything you're told. Don't just go through life following every single order that is given to you. Self-isolation. I once found out I had COVID on the London Tube. I didn't know I had it beforehand, but when I was on the London Tube, I had COVID. Gatherings outside of work wasn't allowed. I met my mother-in-law every single week for a coffee. Yeah, I went out as much as I could. Yeah, I never really once saw a policeman, and I never really once saw it enforced anywhere near me. Yeah, I saw my friends, I saw my in-laws, I saw my parents, I saw everyone I could. As much as I could, I went about normal life. And do you know what? So were the people that made these rules in the first place. The people who made these rules were not only going about their normal life, they were having it off with their aides. They were having it off with their secret mistresses. They had to step back from Partygate, from leading a Partygate inquiry, because they were also part of the Partygate in the first place. The guy who made the lockdown rules, Professor whatever his name was, he also had to step back from leading the government response to coronavirus because he'd seen his girlfriend during lockdown as well. There were just stories and stories and stories of these people breaking lockdown rules, breaking their own guidelines, and basically showing how hypocritical and in contempt they were. And it also shows why I do not regret in a single instance breaking every single one of these guidelines as much as I could, because seeing my family was more important. Those people watching their families die over FaceTime should have been allowed to see their families. Matt Hancock is just the worst of them all. He goes on to I'm a Celebrity to promote his new dyslexia awareness charity, but gives them a measly £10,000. This man is the worst kind of MP you can ever find. And one day, when this inquiry finally happens into COVID, we will finally understand just how much they betrayed us, how much they were in contempt of the general public, and how much they just don't really give a fuck. Yeah, they are out to progress themselves. That's all it's ever been about. Some of the highlights from these messages include, what a bunch of absolute arses. In April of 2020, Matt Hancock just wanted to hit his target. George Osborne even messages him saying, it's not going very well, Matt. He blames teachers as wanting an excuse not to teach. Boris Johnson had misgivings about the government's shielding advice. In August 2020, Boris Johnson says that old people basically have more of a chance of dying from falling down the stairs. And Mr. Hancock in September 2020 was even told, don't go on that interview with Andrew Neil, he'll basically rinse you. I just can't sum into words how hypocritical these people are. They have ruled our lives with an iron fist throughout the pandemic, and they did it with contempt. They don't really give a crap, yeah. And when the next general election comes, we'll make sure we have to do the right thing and vote this Conservative government out. It's about time we show these parliamentarians that actually your number one job isn't lobbying for corporations, yeah. It's not lining your own pockets to make yourself richer. It's not about making sure you put 100 people into the House of Lords. It's not about making sure that you give your dad a nomination on the honours list before you go, Boris Johnson gave his own dad a nomination to be a Lord in his resignation list. How much more nepotism can there be from these people? We need to make a change. We need to vote these people out. I'm not socialist by a long stretch. I'm not totally right-wing by a long stretch. I'm not liberal by a long stretch. But what I do believe in is fairness, justice, reason, and accountability. They are what matters. And I think in today's democracy in the UK, we've lost that. It is about time we regained it.
Newspaper call me red-handed, creeping with the Tory next door. Wasn't me. Said you wanted some of that Hancock banging on my down the street door. How could I forget?